Hey Spuddies, Potato McWhiskey here, and welcome back to Let's Play Civilization 6 as the Ottoman Empire, where things are going exceptionally well. In fact, I would be genuinely surprised if we weren't able to get a W in this episode. Most notably due to the fact that we have an extremely large, extremely technologically advanced army. We have an absolutely gargantuan empire. We've already beaten the Congo. And these guys are nowhere near actually winning a sides victory. And we're going to start cranking out nuclear weapons on cooldown here in a few turns. Now, there are a couple of things that I need to there's a bit of housekeeping, right? I need to get this uranium going. And actually, I need to also check and see if there's more uranium on the map that I could just kind of slurp up and feed my war machine. Unfortunately not. I don't know if I want to go for a giant death robot. I think I would rather just have the bombers and the nukes and have a bunch of tanks kind of roll on through. But the main objective of this episode is to get a railroad over here to the west, to finish off killing the Congo, potentially, if we can manage it, begin the invasion of the Western continent. How much of that we're going to get done, that's going to be entirely dependent on how quickly I can get through my turns. Because remember, I have so many units that I need to micromanage, and every single one of them needs to be given an order basically every turn. So it's by no means, or it's in no way a mean feat, or it's a mean feat. I don't know what the word I'm looking. There's a phrase that makes sense there somewhere. I just can't think of it. So we just blow up. There's a few units squiggling around. Oh, let me go ahead and very quickly faith by a cavalry here to go yoink that settler if we can. All right, we took a little bit of damage. I refuse to make peace with you because that is not my objective. I will need a builder over here because it's probably a good idea just to keep getting oil. There's giant death robots available to us. It could be good. Let me have a look. What is my biggest production city? Rhodes could be a good place for us to build a giant death robot. However, maybe it'd be better in somewhere like Athens. No, I would like to do it somewhere with an encampment. I could do it in Istanbul. It would take 18 turns to get the giant death robot. That's a long time, and it would use up a lot of my uranium. Is that really what I want to do? To be fair, it doesn't use any uranium while it's under construction, except for the one initial that you spend to build it. So perhaps it would be a good idea to start a giant death robot in the capital. Then it will pop out and consume uranium. But in the meantime, I will have already started construction of many, many nukes, right? I'm able to build a nuke roughly every few turns because I'm making 6 uranium per turn, and soon to be 9 when I get down here and I settle the city and I get a builder in here and I get this uranium online. So all things considered, right, with 9 uranium per turn, that's almost a nuke per turn started. And with almost a nuke per turn started, that's a pretty good pace of nuclear construction. So I would be pretty happy with that as a play. Right, now we need to kind of navigate the war with Congo a little bit more in where we stand. So Mabumbi is flipping under its own power, so I don't need to conquer that city, and probably Sanga will flip as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and focus on Mabamba, Mabanzabata, Mabuila, and Mabujimai. Those 4 cities, if I can get them down, I reckon we're cooking with diesel, as they say. So blast him once, blast him twice, move you over to here, and then blast him again. Get my jet fighter to kill that AT crew, and now I can start lining up my artillery again, 1, 2. So they need to be on this battle line here. Ooh, something I should definitely build over here is, could I promote Reina to get contractor, I wonder? If I could buy an airport in Aden, that would actually allow me to transport my troops so much easier. You have a look. Can I airlift? So wait, hang on. How does the airport work again? Let me look at this. It's the city of Kwango. I come in here. Could I maybe find a use for airlifting? Aerodrome districts with airports. Right. That seems like an awful lot of work to make that happen. But I mean, the mobility of my army is completely unmatched. I'm going to go ahead and start deleting units. Well, no, you can go do that, oil. I will start deleting units though at this point, because we're getting to a point now where the sheer number of actions required to get through a turn are becoming astronomically prohibitive in terms of like the mental and also just time effort required. The juice is not worth the squeeze, if you know what I mean. So partly if you're in someone else's canal, you can't pillage out of it, which is kind of an interesting thing to notice. You can pillage the hell out of this though. We've got major faith going. Pillage, and then step away. It looks like the flooding has started to come for the Netherlands. They were not ready to fight back the tide, which is usually something they're on top of. Yoink, free settler, lovely. We step away, that's fine. All right, we're taking a little bit of hits down here. I should be able to get the city settled, and the city's bombard strength will mean that it can do what we need to do. We're also going to go ahead and pop in a builder here to keep things going. We don't need distributed sovereignty. Synthetic technocracy. Corporate libertarianism could be good, but I don't actually need to produce units. I'm trying to remember, what is the fascism? Yeah, I don't think we need to change our government. I think fascism is a perfectly acceptable government for going into the late game. There is no need for us to update or change the way that we do things here. I'm wondering if being suzerain of a city-state might help me. It could be cool to be suzerain in Nazca. I think the time has long since passed for them to be particularly useful. Caguana, I don't really see much value in. Nalanda would be nice to just take away from people, because I've never had them. And then this is potentially an assistive landing area where it's somewhere I don't have to worry about my units getting shot. Now, I don't know if we're going to be able to make Mbamba die this turn, but I will certainly put the time and effort in to try. So we're not quite able to break the city this turn, although maybe if I slammed a couple tanks into it, let's see. It would be nice to break the city this turn. 1, 2... No, not quite, so I'll leave it there. I won't press any harder. I don't want to get my units killed. There's composites. We do have access to modern armor now, which is a significant upgrade because the tank is 85 combat strength, whereas modern armor is 95. That's a plus 10 combat strength bonus. It'll make these tanks a lot more useful in the long run. Can you get to there and pillage for health? Perfect. Let's use these guys on the edge to go ahead and clear this up, and then we'll take the city of Mbamba. Mbanza Mbata is next. Let's go ahead and cycle you away. You're kind of in the way there, but we can get to here. Mbwila. Trying to create the next artillery line. 1, 2, 3. Now you're actually a 4 range, I think. Or you're close to being a 4 range. But yes, we create the artillery line from which we attempt to obliterate enemy. And we've got a line of artillery going down the continent now. I mean, there's a way to show this artillery. If I do a little search for it. See, we've got a whole battle line here, and then we've got even more backup artillery to come join. But I think these artillery have seen out their service. They are no longer required for the war, so they're just going to be fortified and left to rest because their work here is done. It's time to transition into the final phase of the game. This is the phase of the game where we're going to be going through the Great Trimming. We built up a massive, overwhelming army, and that army has served us incredibly well. But now we need to trim back. We don't need all of those troops anymore. They are surplus to requirement. Mbanza Mbata has fallen, and my need for a military continues to shrink. The only units that will be making it across the continent will almost certainly be our tanks. They will be sent. The artillery will be mothballed, put into slumber, as they have served their purpose. Now, did I finish the Manhattan project? That is a great question. We have 26 uranium. Let's go ahead and start organizing our cities by production amount. You have an insane amount of production. I don't want you to finish that. I want you to build me a nuclear device because you can do it in 9 turns, and that's a reasonable amount of time. And I'm just going to start going down the list of cities and starting the mass production of nuclear weaponry. I also need bombers. I did an aircraft carrier and some bombers. So, Pharsalos here. Unfortunately, I can't faith buy aircraft carriers, and I would love to buy a armada just to keep it safe. But I'm going to go for the regular aircraft carrier. That'll be able to carry 2 bombers, and I'm going to buy 2 bombers to put onto that to send to the front line. So, the first bomber is up. It costs about 2,000 each, so I am going to need to look for a few pillages in here if I'm going to make that happen in time. I wonder if I can get some last minute trades off, actually. Like, does anyone want to buy a little? Well, Sweden actually has a fantastic amount of cash on hand. So let's see if she's willing to buy any more stuff. There we go. Cash. That's lovely amounts of cash coming in. Just to put in perspective how good railroads are, this cavalry unit here was all the way over here, and I moved it to here in a single turn. Just look at that range for a single turn move. Railroads are goated, and that is why I make them. It's an awful lot of micro that pays off in the long run. Oh, a category 5 hurricane is appearing. Now, don't forget that the world is drowning. Like, you know, we've been burning an insane amount of oil and coal and all that sort of stuff in our quest for military dominance. She's got Hinduism, Eastern Orthodoxy. They have the same-ish colour, but I'm not at risk of losing to a religious victory. The culture victory, I'm not at risk of losing to. Let me just double check that. Yeah, no, the culture victory, science victory. Yeah, so none of the victories are ready to trigger, so I'm well ahead of schedule, so I'm feeling very, very comfortable. We are looking for gold. We need just a little bit more gold to push our agenda. Right. I'd love for Mbwila to fall this turn. Let's see if we can make that happen. 1, 2, 3. Move the drone. 4, 5, 6. Boom. Mbwila has fallen. We can go ahead and buy ourselves a second bomber. There we go. We can rebase 1 bomber to the aircraft carrier. We'll rebase another one next turn. Then if... Ooh, I'm losing a lot of money. Oh, it's because my government got made redundant. Right, okay. That's fine. Fine. Yes. Can I make more? That'd be 45 gold. I just need more cash, right? So I have third alternative, levy en masse, colonial taxes. I think I need to now plug in Merchant Confederation for that extra little bit of cash, and then we're plus 251 cash per turn. We just need to be cash positive. It doesn't matter how much cash positive we are. We super can't be cash negative. If we're cash negative, we're in a really, really bad state. That'd be a genuinely horrendous set of affairs. So we also have enough uranium to start another nuclear weapon. Let's go by the yields. We're going down the list. Probably not much point in building a flood barrier, but there is a point in building a nuclear device. The first few nukes will come quickly, but then after that, it won't happen fast at all. 8 turns, 5 turns. So we just need to make a Bujimai happen. Well, no, actually. I think we could just stop the war with Congo, redirect all of our units. So anything that isn't a tank or a supply convoy is getting put to sleep permanently. This is just so that I can pare down the number of moves I need to make per turn. But supply convoys can actually keep up with tanks, so that's not a problem. Pair them off with a few tanks because they will allow your tanks to move +1 tile and also allow your tanks to heal more efficiently. But Congo is no longer a threat in every sense of that word, and is no longer anything that requires work. So let's put Zhukov over here in Pokrovka, and I think it's time for Napoleon to get retired. And by retired, I mean I'm just going to delete him because I don't care. Now, let's start to purchase the invasion force. 1 modern AT. I probably should have waited for Victor so they had +1 free promotion, but it's not the end of the world. 1 modern AT, and then I would like another... Sorry, I'm saying modern AT, what I mean to be saying is modern armor for 3,000 faith. All that faith pillaging now is coming back to us in profit. I'm going to go ahead and delete 1, 2, and 3 artillery. Doesn't matter. Just need to get them off my radar. That should mean that we're guaranteed we're not using up too much oil there. We can't run out of oil. That would mean our army would fall apart. Our friendship with Sweden runs out in 5 turns, so we're kind of ahead of schedule here a little bit. Or sorry, not ahead in schedule. Like, we're making good time, is what I was trying to say. Oh, I should have kept Napoleon because I was just about to get a free tank. I kind of left that down there for a long time, and if I had used Napoleon on this guy, I would have had another free modern AT, modern armor, which actually might have been helpful. I don't think it was going to be important for the outcome of the game, but it would have been helpful. So we're making some optimization errors, of course. That's just part of it. I'd like Dordrecht to be my landing point, so I'm just slowly chipping away with battleships. Put to sleep all the artillery. Tanks can heal and wake up. Look how far this tank can move across my empire thanks to railroads. Practically on the other side of the continent already. We have a look for cuirassiers to wake up and send to the front line. They're a little bit expensive to do. There's one over here. There's one down here. Let me... You. Okay. And then... Surely there would be no more chariots knocking about. Oh, I do have a chariot ready to be upgraded. And then the last one I'm looking for is tanks. I want to find all my tanks. I have a tank here. That's fine. You're healing. I have a tank here. I have a tank here. I have a tank here. Right. All units, all heavy armor accounted for and being ready to be sent to the front line. We shall see great rewards from our hard work. Yes, I know that I'm 7 trade routes down. Okay, listen. We've got other priorities at the moment. I'm also deleting some units that I just don't want to deal with. Again, we're trimming down the number of actions we have to take per turn with a view of trying to, 2 bombers secured and ready to go join the front line. Sorry, I moved my aircraft carrier before I put the bomber on it, and I was worried I wouldn't be able to get the bomber on it in time, but I did manage to do it. Yeah, we're ready. Tanks are landed in the ocean. The only thing we're missing are the nuclear bombs, but we'll get our first one 8 turns from now. Eight turns until the atomic era ends as well. Literally, it took me 2 turns to take my tanks from one side of the continent to the other. It's insane. I love railroads so much, dude. I couldn't even finish the railroad before they got here. Technologically, nothing really matters to me except for picking up upgrades for my giant death robot, should he find a use for himself at some point in the future. There's no card to build nukes faster, is there? Maybe it's like deep into the culture tree. To be fair, this was a chaos game. Like, the plan was to allow the game to dictate the flow, so I'm not too upset about having to do a domination victory here. Honestly, it was actually kind of a fun domination victory. You know, it didn't overstay its welcome. It was reasonably challenging, reasonably interesting. Like, we had a hard start in this game, and I think it was like really, really, really good content. And then, of course, naturally, once like the thing about these games is once you get past the hard part, well, I mean, then you're at the easy part, right? And it inherently becomes like a little bit less interesting, which is fair enough. It's just kind of how these games work. It is a shame that every game is kind of like this, where you snowball to the point where the game is no longer challenging. But I suppose journey before destination, Radiant, which is kind of I'm a very destination-minded person when I'm playing Civ, right? It's like, I'm going to the victory screen and I know how I want to get there. But I do think my content is better if I'm more journey focused, right? Where I'm like, ooh, what's happening here? Ooh, I think I might need to do this. Rather than sort of fishing for like a really high quality, easy game that I can kind of push my way to victory in exactly an optimized way. Now, don't get me wrong, searching for those optimized victories are amazing. But every now and again, like one of these like little cute little games where things spawn weird and you have to overcome major adversity. I think they really give a certain pizzazz to a series. I don't know. I'd love to hear what you think about that. The only complaint I have about playing a domination victory is that there's not much for me to say. Like every turn would just be me being like, okay, I'm moving this unit. Okay, I'm moving this unit. And I move this unit and this unit and this unit. And there's very little input from me to give that is unique and interesting in any way. And like, I suppose not every single game has to be like an amazingly, perfectly interesting, perfect experience. Sure, there is not pressure on me to be 100% interesting every single second of the game. Yeah, they're trying to launch a spaceport thing here, but I have it pillaged, so I'm not worried about that. Yeah, she's trying to do the moon landing, but I'm Barbary blocking her. I'm pillage blocking her, basically. That's what I'm trying to say there. Let's get the little units on the move. I can start the construction of 2 more nukes, so we shall head over to Quango, because it's the next highest production city. We come down here, we pop in nuclear devices, we go back up to the yield screen. This is the better report screen, by the way. You can see how many cities are building nukes now. Kabul is my next best city. Go ahead and put nukes here, put production as a focus. Maybe that'll help. 16 turns. So, I mean, like if you look, we've got nukes on the way. Got a ton of nukes, got a ton of uranium locked up in construction. They take a while to build. They're like the ultimate unit, They're an I win button. That's the thing about nukes, is they're an I win button. And I suppose every game like this needs a stalemate breaking I win button. Otherwise they just kind of grind down to a halt. I'm not opposed to I win buttons. My only kind of maybe small gripe is that the I win button comes alongside a whole bunch of other really, really fun and cool technologies. None of them really get used much because the I win button is just so good that why wouldn't you press the I win button? Like there's no reason not to. Nice, +1. There we go. Smart materials. Friendly horse. Do. I don't know why I said that. I don't even know what that means. If I come back in another life, I'd like to be a friendly horse. That's what that means. That's where that came from. 100%. I didn't just make that up. That was all planned. 100% of the time. The first wave of tanks are almost here. They're on the way in the ocean. And any nukes on the go? 6 turns until our first nuke as well. It's going to take a while. 5 turns until... Oh, no, another nuke is coming in 5. 11. I don't have any nukes, do I? No warheads available, but I will soon. I often I do the railroad check and I'm like, oh guys, check out those railroads. And I thought I was doing it for people who watch the series of videos that I make, but honestly, this is for me. Like when I do the railroad check, this is just really satisfying. Look at all these railroads, man. We got, don't look there, but all these green tiles. That's like, well, I don't know what I was doing over here. Listen, we'll talk about that a different day. But this is all Speedy Gonzales road, you know what I mean, where people go fast. I remember watching Speedy Gonzales as a kid. I wonder, is that now considered like maybe probably not something good to reference? I wonder. It wouldn't surprise me. A lot of stuff over the years has kind of, things were a product of their times, and now they don't really fit with modern ethics and sensibilities and considerations. But to me as a kid, it was just like a funny cartoon mouse run fast, which is honestly about the level of engagement I have with every piece of media. I'm like, yeah, Shutter Island, that was just a good movie about a crazy guy. No metaphor, no nothing. It was just like, this is a really well acted movie about a guy who was a little detached from reality. But then I'll go and I'll watch like an analysis from like movie buffs and they'll be like, oh dude, by the way, this scene right here, this is actually a callback to a 1933 movie by, Van Blah, and he did this scene. But that original scene is actually a callback to a book written in 1857 by Alfred von Hindenburg, who was referencing the Greek tragedy of blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I would never even begin to have that level of analysis. But I find when I start watching those kind of things where they start to like weave together like things and references and cool stuff like that, I actually find that I enjoy and I understand media better. So I really love that kind of stuff. But left to my own devices, I would never even accumulate like 1% of that. Like to me, the movie Nope, I got like the first layer, also spoilers for Nope, by the way. I got like the first layer of the meaning behind the monster in Nope, in that it was like a reference to like Hollywood itself, but it was the actual imagery and artistic vision behind the monster and all that sort of stuff that, like, when you really sit down and you look at all the parallels and all the foreshadowing and all the things that coalesce together to sort of really drive home the metaphor, it's like there's onions to peel back, which is kind of funny because I watched the movie Glass Onion recently, and that movie had no layers to peel back, which was funny because a lot of people were complaining that it was a really obvious movie, and that's what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be an onion that you could see the center of immediately. And to me, Glass Onion wasn't a mystery movie. It was a movie about cinematography, because the way the scenes are shot and the way the presentation of the movie was far more important than the story for Glass Onion for me. I don't think like the actual, like, oh, this happened, like, oh, who done it? It wasn't a who done it movie. It was a movie pretending to be a who done it movie. Does that make sense? It was a story about art and about it was a story about art and a story about storytelling, right? But it was also like a very on the nose social commentary, which in of itself was a statement about art and how it's made and how people are treated in media, right? God, I could probably, if I sat down with somebody who knew a little bit more about this, I could probably hammer out like a real thread on that line of conversation. But the way that, like, the main antagonist, the billionaire duder, I should say main antagonists, actually, because the billionaire duder, wait, who is the protagonist in that movie? Is it? I don't know. Does he even count as an antagonist? I guess he doesn't. The only reason he's counted as an antagonist, I guess, is because his murder is the setup for the movie. But yeah, like, I think it was kind of disappointing that they called it Glass Onion, a Knives Out tale or whatever. I can't remember, a Knives Out mystery or something, a Knives Out movie. They should have just called it Glass Onion, because he was trying to do something very different than he was with Knives Out. They're two very, it's Knives or Glass Onion was not a murder mystery. It wasn't a mystery movie. It wasn't even a noir. It was something completely different. Okay, so I need to take on Amsterdam. I have a nuke. I'm waiting for my second nuke. That will come next turn. I forgot to put a tank over by Stockholm. That's fine. We're going to go ahead and nuke Amsterdam right there. People are going to be upset that I used nukes, like in-game upset. But that's not particularly important to me as a player. Oh, I looked away from the nuke. Whoops. We've all seen them before. Come on. The real nuke is going to be the one we drop on Sweden. So we want to take the city. We want to keep the city. Boom. And then I would like to, I suppose what I could do here to kill Stockholm faster, I could just faith buy a tank nearby. Jump it in the water, jump it over to Stockholm. We should be able to grab that city real quick. I just need to get a bomber. I can't quite reach up there, so I have to move the aircraft carrier a little bit more northerly. And my giant death robot just finished. Now, I don't think it can be airlifted, but I am going to go ahead and start shift entering to end my turns because we are done micromanaging. Never again shall micro be managed. So Sweden isn't at war with us yet, and we're just a handful of turns from moving our tanks up to the north to schlep her. Give her a schlep with an old nuclear device. Looks like the Congo actually died from all the cities flipping independent. That's perfect. I may as well, I mean, this probably has no bearing on the rest of the game, but I may as well have these cities like start Operation Ivy, build a nuclear device, then do the same over here in Konya, build a nuclear device. Then we grab Mabanza Congo, we come in here, we build a nuclear device. Nuclear. It's pronounced nuclear. I always say it wrong. And you know what? I'm right to say it wrong. Don't tell me what to do. Never tell me the odds. But with the capture of Amsterdam, we are now a single city away from a domination victory, and that city is Stockholm. We're just waiting to have range. We're in range. All right, let's drop the bomb. WMD strike, declare war. Here she comes. Let's turn off the UI. Really enjoy this one. I love the smell of uranium in the morning. Ah, brilliant. So that should be a wrap on that. We just need to get the city touched by this tank. Touch the city once and it is a goner. Go on and get the city. Jump up, and get down. There we go. Thank you guys so much for watching this wonderful series on the Ottoman. What a return to form, actually. I feel like I had a lot of fun playing the Ottoman. Having played the Ottoman, I feel like initially I thought that this was going to be a civ that was both capable of getting ahead when behind and staying ahead when ahead. But now that I've actually played them, I feel like they're a little bit more RNG. They're a little bit more feast or famine. Getting 15% faith or getting 15% culture and science when you're in a golden age, sure, that sounds fantastic, but it requires you to be in a good enough position to get a golden age, and then B, to be in a good enough position to actually take advantage of that culture and science. And then the combat bonuses that they get, the +4 combat strength when not in a golden age against other civs not in a golden age, those are really nice, but I just don't think it's enough. But yeah, look at this. Look at these graphs, right? Huge culture. I mean, look, we were in a bad way for a very long time, and the best way to show that is our science, right? Look at that science line. Look how terrible a game we had up until the point that we managed to actually capture some cities from Greece. And you can almost see exactly when my line lifts off the ground, that's when Greece's line flatlines. And every single time I take out another player, my line climbs up. Now, unfortunately for Canada this game, they must have had a really, really bad dark age for them to flip independent like that, because they basically just deleted themselves from the game. But yeah, like just look. I didn't build my first district until like the AI had fully built empires. You just put that, just put that in your head, you know? Number of combats, I'm going to be way above everyone for the entirety of the game. We did have a very long period of peace, which was quite nice, and then we just had non-stop war. So there was a very initial brutal start, a little bit of a build-up, and then a brutal war. And in fact, that should be reflected if we look at all of the graphs. You can see here, there's a period where I don't advance much, and then there's a period where I have a bit of peace and I'm able to build up a little bit, and then I'm able to build up a military and take on people, and that's when I really, really, really take off. I'm curious about my faith. Faith was actually quite good this game. It definitely took off in the late game. Units killed. Yeah, look at the amount of units killed. Units lost. I should be pretty low on this. Yeah. Almost the lowest amount of units lost in the game. Not quite, but almost. Total religions founded. Of course, it's the most important graph. There you go. And I think that's it. That is a wrap for Civilization 6 as the Ottomans. Hope you guys enjoyed that series. We'll be back again. Stay tuned. I've also got a whole bunch of other content lined up that I've been working on, but you know, we shall see if we can get to all that. There's too much to do and not enough time to do it. I love you all very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.